Hey everyone, welcome back, and let's write some more neat code today. So today let's solve the problem, maximum beauty of an array after applying operation. And to be honest, this problem, or at least the solution to this problem, is honestly easier than you would expect, but that doesn't mean that coming up with the solution is actually easy, and that's what we're going to be focusing on in this video. So let's start with the problem description. Reading the problem description is a skill in and of itself, that's why I always start with it. We're given an array of numbers and a non-negative integer k, and they say that we can perform a certain operation, which involves picking any given element in the array, and we can replace it with an element in this range. So basically, what all this is saying is if we have an array, something like this, 1, 2, 3, we can take any given number, and let's say we're given k, let's say we're given a k of a 4 in this case. We can take any given number. Imagine it on a number line like this. It's a 2. We can change it to any number that falls in this range, which is 6 to -2. That's because k is this portion. K is 4, which is this portion over here and this portion over here. What this was saying is we can add k to the number or subtract k from the number and everything in between. So we can replace a number like 2 with anything in between -2 and 6. Now, knowing that, we want to create a beautiful, well, I guess, they give us words that are kind of random. So I guess to put it simply, we want to create a subsequence from the original array where the elements are equal. And the number that we want to return is going to be the maximum length of a subsequence where all elements are equal, knowing that this is the only operation that we can perform and we can do it an unlimited number of times. So all that stuff was pretty random. It's best to reason about these things using an example. So let's do that. I'm just going to draw a picture because I know that makes it usually easier for most people. So I'm going to put these numbers on a number line. I'm going to put 1 here, 2 here, 4, and we have a 6. In this case, k is equal to 2. So for each of these, let's draw a line. So for this guy, it can be anything in this range from 3 all the way to -1, which I won't draw. And then this 2, it can go anywhere from 0 up until +4. So maybe something like that. This 4, it can be anything in this range. And by the way, these endpoints are technically inclusive, so maybe I should have drawn them as a circle, but I'm sure you guys get the idea. And lastly, this 6, it could have been this. So when you turn this problem into an interval problem, you see it kind of becomes like some of the other problems we've solved before. So this is kind of just asking, what is the maximum number of overlapping meetings if you've solved that problem before? But that's actually not the solution I'm going to show you to this problem. It's going to be a little bit different. First of all, they mentioned the word subsequence. What exactly does that mean? Well, in this problem, as we can clearly tell by the example, we can make at least 3 numbers the same because I have this line here that's intersecting 3, for example. So I can turn 4 into 3, I can turn 2 into 3, and I can turn 1 into 3 as well. At least that's one way to do it. I could have also, I think, turned all 3 of them into a 2 as well. But in either case, I can go ahead and do that. What about that original word subsequence? Doesn't the order of the elements matter? Because that's what subsequence means. It means that the relative order of elements is the same. So for example, this and this is a subsequence because we removed these 2 elements. There are some problems where they'll ask you for creating like the longest increasing subsequence. In those cases, the original order of the numbers actually does matter because the relative order of these 2, for example, if you were to swap them and change it to a 2 and a 1, well, then that subsequence is not increasing. But right now, this subsequence is increasing. So if we were to find like the longest increasing subsequence, it might be, I think, either this or this. But if all the elements are equal, and that's what we're asking for in this case, a subsequence where all the elements are actually equal in value, and we can modify the elements to make them equal. If that's the case, then the order actually does not matter. I hope you can see why that is, because imagine if I had a subsequence like this. I have 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, something like that. The longest increasing subsequence is maybe 1, 2, 3, 4. But the longest sequence of values, a subsequence where all values are the same, is 1, 1, 1. And obviously, if I change the order of these elements, any of them, that's not going to change. These are still all the exact same. Changing the relative order of them does not change the fact that all of them are the same and that there are 3 of them. Basically, long story short, the order does not matter when all the elements are the same for that subsequence. This is a very important observation to make. It's kind of the first observation that you have to make. The next observation is kind of, you can reason about from this diagram down here, is that the relative order of the elements matters. Usually with interval problems, and this problem as well, we want to sort the elements so that we can have closer elements grouped together. That's going to be important here because, as you can see, for each of these elements, for each of these data points, we can only go so far in either direction. If we can sort the elements, then we can possibly have like a window approach. We know that the size of the window in terms of length can be 2 times this. So that's definitely going to be useful for us. So step 2 is to know that we can sort the input array, and that's going to be valuable for us. And grouping elements together is also going to be valuable. Maybe we can use some kind of sliding window approach. And by the way, if you haven't heard of this algorithm before, that's perfectly fine. I wouldn't expect you to be able to solve this problem. You can learn more about that at Leetcode.io in the advanced algorithms course. But once you know that the sliding window might be useful here, we can start trying things. Let's consider this input array. Let's consider sorting it. So we have 1, 2, 4, 6. How would we go about doing a sliding window approach? Usually it goes something like this. We have a left pointer and then we have a right pointer, and we try to shift the right pointer as much as we can. Usually the sliding window is optimizing the brute force approach. With the brute force approach, we would find what is the longest window we can have starting at this element. So we'd increase the window as much as we could. But how would we do it? Would we say we want all elements to be equal to 1? And if that's the case, then every neighboring element should be within 2 of this number, this 1. Because in theory, we should only be able to add up to 3, and going in the other direction, -1. We can only add numbers in between this range because only those numbers can be turned into a +1. But that's not going to work. Let me show you a counterexample. What if we had k equals 2, 1, I guess even this is a counterexample. If we have a left pointer here, right pointer here, and now we try to shift it again, we're going to find that we can't shift it, because if we try to, the right pointer is over here, but the difference between these two elements is +3, but our k is only +2. So in this case, we'd say that, well, our window can't be made this big, but that's actually not correct. So instead of the difference between the endpoints being k, it can actually be up to 2 times k. And that means that we don't have to guarantee that like this element is actually that equal element. The equal element, meaning the element where like all of these are going to be the same, could be this element, it could be this element, it could be this one, or it could even be an element that's not present within the array. So all 3 of these elements could have been made a +3, and then they would have still all been equal. I know I kind of rambled a lot in this video, but I hope you kind of got the main points that I was trying to make. The fact that we sorted the input array allows us to do this windowed approach. And at every step of the way, this is what we're going to do. We're going to have our left pointer here. We're going to keep shifting the left pointer as far as we can, as long as the difference between the 2 endpoints is less than or equal to 2 times k. Because that means that the 2 endpoints, they could be made equal. And if they can be made equal, then everything else in between can also be made equal. And thus the window is valid, and thus the window could have also been a subsequence, because even if you take all those elements, let's say all of them are 3, and you change the order of them, well, that subsequence is still going to be all equal, so it doesn't really matter. That's the idea. The time complexity is going to be n log n from doing the sorting, and then the sliding window approach is just going to be n, so this is the overall time complexity. Now let's code this up. Okay, so let me go ahead and clear this, and let's get started. I'm going to first sort the input array, and I'm also going to declare a result variable, which is going to be the maximum length of the subsequence, which we are going to end up returning. And I'm going to have my sliding window approach now. My template is pretty simple. You can check it out on Leetcode.io. I've done this 1,000 times, so it's kind of second nature to me. I do a left pointer out there. I do my right pointer like this for in range, length of nums. We want to step this one every single time. And what we want to do is maximize the result, maximize the length of the window. So max of result, and the current length of the window is right minus left plus 1. But we don't know for sure that the window is actually valid. We only want to update this with valid windows. We know that a window of size 1 is probably always going to be valid. We don't need to hide this in an if statement, but we do need to add some validation here. It's not just going to be an if statement, it's going to actually be a loop because we might shift the left pointer multiple times. So for example, imagine we had a example like this, 1, 2, 4, 6, like we had previously. I have my left pointer at 1, and then I have my right pointer here. I take the difference between these two, and it's less than or equal to 2 times k. That's fine. What if my right pointer was actually over here? Well, then the difference between these is not less than or equal to 2 times k. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to check the difference. Nums of right minus nums of left. We know that this calculation should always be positive, or at least 0, because we've already sorted the array. And so this difference, if it is greater than 2 times k, which is the case down here right now, we want to take the left pointer and increment it until that is no longer the case. So we're going to take the left pointer here, add 1 to it, and that's pretty much it. So now you can see that the difference here is not greater than 2 times k, so the loop will stop. But imagine if this was a 1, then we would have taken the left pointer and shifted it again. It would have been over here, and the right pointer would have been over here. And then the window would have been of length 2. But that's pretty much it. This is the entire code. Let's go ahead and run it. And as you can see on the left, it works and it's pretty efficient. If you found this helpful, check out Leetcode.io for a lot more. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.